I would like to introduce our next speaker. Sean D. Reyes is among the most dynamic and successful young professionals in the country today. Sean graduated summa cum laude from Brigham Young University before earning a JD from UC Berkeley, where he also played on the men's volleyball team. In 2006, he was honored as the Utah Young Lawyer of the Year, and in 2007, the American Bar Association recognized him as its first ever National Outstanding Young Lawyer. He was selected among all young lawyers nationwide for legal skill, professionalism, leadership, and public service. His nominators includes the Governor of Utah, the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court, and numerous business, civic, and military leaders. Sean is currently Chief Legal Officer for eTags Incorporated. Prior to joining eTags, he was a litigation partner at Parsons, Burley, and Latimer, Utah's largest law firm, where he worked on some of the state's most high-profile lawsuits, including national and international cases involving billions of dollars. Sean has successfully briefed or argued cases before the Utah Supreme Court, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, the United States Supreme Court. He has also been a small claims judge since 1999 and served as a member of the Utah State Bar Commission. He was appointed by Governor Huntsman as one of the youngest members ever in the State Judicial Nominating Commission. Sean is currently a candidate for Utah Attorney General in 2012 and is a county, state, and national delegate for the Republican Party. He has also founded the Utah Freedom Defense PAC and serves on a United States Congressional Commission for Hispanic Issues, advising Congress, the President, and cabinet members. Appointed by Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and President Obama, Sean spent much of 2010 engaged in public hearings with Hispanic communities throughout the country. Sean has served as an advisor to the Governor of Utah and his staff on policy issues. In 1999, Sean helped reestablish the Utah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and has served since as an officer and board member, helping guide the chamber to numerous national awards. Since 2009, Sean has served as president of SOMOS, the educational foundation of the Utah Hispanic Chamber. SOMOS awarded its millionth dollar in scholarships at its Winter Gala in 2010. Sean has served on numerous other charitable and for-profit boards, commissions, and committees, including the American Red Cross, Utah Fast Pass for fallen or injured law enforcement officers, for Utah Bank, and many others. Sean has started or run several small businesses and has an array of experience in defense business endeavors. He was highly highlighted as one of Utah's 20 most influential Hispanic by local media. He has been honored as Business Professional of the Year by the Utah Asian Chamber of Commerce, one of 50 outstanding Asian executives in the United States, and a national top lawyer by the Asian Pacific American Bar Association. He has been consistently recognized as one of Utah's legal elite and a Mountain State super lawyer. Prior to his national acclaim, he was selected as one of Utah's 40 most successful business leaders under the age of 40 and received state and national awards for the Utah Minority Bar Association, an organization he helped lead to prominence and national recognition as its president. For several years, Sean supervised a Hispanic outreach and English language program for immigrants sponsored by the LDS Church, involving thousands of volunteers and students. Sean was the first young alumnus ever awarded the Brigham Young University Outstanding Service Award. Sean is a popular public speaker and lecturer, and his wife, Seisha, they have 6 children, and he loves to coach their Little League teams. Wow, isn't that great? So at this time, I welcome Sean Reyes.
Boy, I have to talk to the PR department about shortening that bio down. Sorry. I saw some of you clicking over to the basketball game there. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you tonight? Doing good? Yeah. Aloha. Aloha. I don't know. I'm going to attribute that somewhat lackluster response to maybe not being properly trained. I say aloha, and it's supposed to be a greeting of excitement and enthusiasm, and you guys created a Hawaiian lullaby out of that. Let's try it one more time. Aloha. Aloha. See, now I wanted Mighty Light to hear that down there, and I think we did it. That's perfect. That's a greeting from my mom's homeland in Hawaii. And to pay homage to my father, let me try it since you guys are on a roll in Tagalog. So if I say, mabuhay, you say it. Okay, not all in unison, but still we get the effect. How about, I was invited recently to go to the Holy Land with a group as a representative of the United States, so I'm practicing shalom. Shalom. Very good. And one of my favorite, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Che fach. You don't even know what that means, do you? You do? It's Romanian, that's right. We have somebody who knows. I was going to say, I just told you vote for Reyes in 2012. That's what it means. And you guys are so good, you're just dutifully repeating whatever I say. In fact, that's funny. It reminds me of not knowing exactly. With languages, they can be challenging and kind of exciting and fun. When I was sitting on the bench during one case, I remember I had a young woman who was losing, and she knew she was losing, and so she sort of retreated to this excuse, I don't speak English very well. And she had been speaking fine up to that point. And so I said, bueno, pues, entonces lo haremos en español. Vamos, en español. Yo hablo un poquito de español. So I was saying, let's do it in Spanish. I speak a little Spanish. And she's like, okay, fine. Never mind. So I ruled against her, and she lost the case. Well, ironically, a few cases later, and it was a quick docket, a small claims court, there was a Vietnamese lady, and sort of similar thing happened. She was losing the case, and she realized she was losing, so she started to go into, I don't speak English very well, I don't understand. And I said, well, that's fine, I speak Vietnamese really well. And so she goes, all right, fine, never mind. Let's just. I don't speak Vietnamese, but I thought it was worth it. She saw the previous litigant, and so it was good. But, okay, here's my final greeting for you. I've got a teenager. He just turned 13, so I'm starting to learn his language. And so I'll say it, and you repeat after me. CGEAA. CGEAA. Right, you know what language that is, right? That's texting language, right? It means Crown Golden Eagles are awesome. So that's what it stands for. But I'm telling you, it's a whole different world trying to carry on a conversation with him. In fact, I'll be speaking with him only 20 feet away, and he'll want to text me back, and I'm like, where's the disconnect here, Kai? What happened to the good old days where you just talk to dear old dad? At least you could ignore me face to face instead of through text. Let me throw out a couple of quick disclaimers, because I've been asked to speak on a topic that I think is going to be exciting for you, but it's not one that I know a whole lot about. Lawyers have a lot of disclaimers, so this is almost an obligation to throw these few caveats out. First of all, let me say this. As I listen to Larry read over all of those things, some people might think, wow, he's done a few things in life. My goal my whole life was to do half of what my father accomplished, and if we had time and you knew his history, my father and my uncle, their whole story. His uncle was the president of the Philippines, and my father and uncle have been honored with national awards. They've had art in the Smithsonian Museums in the Vatican. They've had national acting awards and singing careers and all of these things. My dad did more before he was 20 years old than I'll probably do my whole life. And so my entire life I've learned from him, and he's always instilled a culture of excellence. And his motto always, his mantra was, if you're going to do something, do it well or not at all. So if my bio seems a little frenetic and I've got my hands in a lot of pies, it's because I've always been trying to live up to my legacy of my father. So this is not a disclaimer, but let me say, I want to give credit, first of all, to my Savior Jesus Christ and to God, and then next to my parents, whom I love dearly. My mom's not here, she's in LA right now. To my dear wife, who supports me by taking care of our 6 children so I can come to things like this. And my other family members, and the many coaches and teachers and leaders in the community and mentors that I've had throughout my life, many of you who've influenced me in such a positive way. I'd be, I think, a little negligent if I didn't acknowledge that. My mom was a teacher. Let me just for a moment digress and say, wouldn't it be if I were king for the day, and I could be AG for 4 years if you help me out with that. But if I were king for a day, I'd make teachers' salaries the same as lawyers, and lawyers' salaries the same as teachers. I think if we did that, you would find some amazing, miraculous things happen in the educational system. But I have such a great respect for educators. There's an adage, it's never just you, and clearly it hasn't been just me in many of these things, and all of the things that I've been able to do thus far in my life. And so, again, I just wanted to properly pay respects to all of those who've helped me. I've been giving a lot of political speeches lately, and we've been going up and down the state. Tonight I was supposed to be in Juab and Miller for their convention, so thank you for saving me the trip down there. I've dispatched my team, and they're covering for me, but this disclaimer, this is not a political speech tonight. So I will not be encouraging you to vote for me in the 2012 Attorney General's race. I'm not going to tell you why I'm the most qualified out of the candidates or bore you with the fact that there's never been a statewide elected official in the history of the state of Utah, of any of the minority communities, so I would be the first. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to try to pressure you into Facebooking me afterwards if you want any information about the campaign, or if you want to volunteer. The last disclaimer is, if you don't like any of my remarks tonight, you can always take it up with the chairman. So that's he didn't have, in fairness, a chance to vet these remarks or preview them, so he might be caught unawares. But it reminds me of a funny story. Amongst my dad's diverse background, he was a movie producer and director for a time. And so when I was 12 years old, I once had the opportunity to work as a production assistant on a set. Now, production assistant is just a glorified name for world's biggest gopher. Fetch this, go for that. And I remember one time a fairly off-putting senior, is that me? Am I glowing? Is that why this is it's feedback? I thought it was like one of those, have you seen those applause meters or approval ratings as politicians speak? I was thinking maybe I'm doing a good job. I'm starting to generate a little bit of buzz there. But I was on the set, and this was this guy was just a mean fella, and he was ordering me around, telling me to do this and that, and fetch this and that, basically do his job. And I remember one time he said, go get those lazy actors over here or something. And I said, sir, my dad told me not to bother the talent. I'm supposed to not bother them. They're in their trailer. And he said, I don't care what your blippity blappity dad told you. And I said, no, really, I think you ought to talk to him. He, of course, is a little disoriented. Why am I going to talk to your dad? Just go do what I said. So then I said, well, let me talk to him for a second. So I just said, hey, Dad, he's sitting over there in the director's chair. Could you explain to this gentleman what, his mood changed entirely after that, all of a sudden. So the takeaway from that is treat everyone like they're the CEO's child, because in some cases they are. But more importantly, that's how the Lord treated everyone. That's how great leaders, true leaders, treat everyone, regardless of rank or station. And that's something that we learned in the Wisdom, Wellness, and Wealth course. Some of you already know that and live that, and that's great. But it's a good reminder. It just triggered that when I was thinking about any complaints you lodge with the chairman. They asked me tonight to speak about a new youth program, which And I have to say, I don't know all of the details yet. I've spoke conceptually with my father about this youth program, and I understand some of the rudiments, but I think it's a brand new thing, and it's still organic, and it's going to be evolving. And so some of you will be able to, on a very ground level, participate and serve in an advisory capacity and shape this. And what kind of a youth program is it? It's one to complement the existing youth program. So this isn't an indictment on any of the current, the Boy Scouts of America or 4-H or junior achievement or church youth programs. This is not a threat to them. It's just it's another option. We talk about choices. They're vanilla and strawberry, and we're offering chocolate. So Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors. Why not offer a few more? Maybe that's not a good analogy with the wellness. Maybe it's not chocolate ice cream. It's vanilla, or no, what is it? Tony Granados are going to be avocado flavored ice cream, right? Or noni flavored ice cream. I don't know. But this program, I am excited to introduce to you. Now, there'll be a formal proclamation or declaration after I'm done, but they wanted me to sort of tee this up, and I thought, what better way to do this than to ask you, what are the greatest perils and dangers facing our children, our youth today? Because clearly that's in every political poll, and that's always ranks near the top and the highest. What's going to happen to our youth fiscally? What's going to happen to them morally? What challenges? So help me out. This is a participatory, interactive event, as my uncle already had you standing up and sitting down, and I've got you screaming in different languages. So help me out here. Just throw some things out. Oh, well, that's great with the hand up. Moral decay. Oh, absolutely, yes. That's one of the, and that can encompass a whole lot of things. But please go ahead.
Laziness.
Oh, I love that one too. Laziness. Yes, we need to have that talk with all 6 of my kids. Sure, sir. And,
not knowing the importance of agency.
oh, good. Agency. So they feel like they're compelled to. I mean, it's a peer pressure type of thing.
Respecting the elders.
Respect. Did you all hear that? He said respecting your elders. Something that when I grew up, you'd never address somebody except for Mr. or Mrs., maybe brother or sister. Now, I've got my scouts rolling in like, yo, what's up, Sean? Great. Yes?
Low self-esteem.
Oh, low self-esteem. And that's derived so much from our media and other sources telling them that their self-esteem should be derived from external things like appearance. And so inevitably they won't measure up because you're never going to be the most handsome person in the world, or you're never going to. So driving the low self-esteem down, I love that. Misinformation, but this is the age of information. There's so much information, but that is a good point. With so much information, unfortunately, some of it's misinformation, and sadly, a lot of them don't have the tools, the principles to process all of this, and then to be able to use that information in a very respectful and responsible manner. The gentleman with the beautiful young girl.
Yeah, there's productivity issues.
Kind of the laziness and productivity. When made in the USA used to mean something. Now it means watching the clock, right, till 5 o'clock, or here in Utah, 5 o'clock on Thursday, I guess, if you're a state employee. But okay, he said delayed gratification. So everything is instantaneous now. I see that with the kids. Our generation, my generation, started that. I think it's been around forever, but we were known as the me generation, and now I don't even know what the next generation is. Probably the ME generation, texting, because they're the next evolution. Definitely. Anybody else? These are all really good. I haven't heard some of the real obvious ones. You guys are a little more sophisticated. You're talking about some. Ah, there we go. One of the big 3: drugs. And not just illicit drugs. What's the other? Prescription drugs. People always assume prescription drugs are problems for adults, but if you've been at the high school or junior high school lately, and guess what? Most of the drugs that are going around, the stuff that they grabbed from your or our cabinets, sadly, and are passing around. Yes.
Not near enough exercise.
Okay, not near enough exercise, Larry says. Yes. So health overall, sedentary lifestyles. Someone's liking it. I know it. Keep pushing those buttons. Keep getting me. Yeah.
Something that I call token trophy
Explain that. Token trophy is what she said.
No matter how you perform, no matter what you do, you get rewarded.
Oh, so like my little league team that my daughter is funny. She played on this t-ball team, and there are no outs. So everybody gets to hit, everybody gets rewarded to make them feel good, so they all get to, and then everybody just runs around the bases, and then everybody gets the same trophy at the end of the year. And I remember her sitting after the first game, during the middle of the game, in the middle of the field, protesting, saying, "This game stinks." And they said, "What's the matter, Kalia?" And she said, she has 5 brothers, mind you, so she's very used to competition. And she said, "There are no outs, and I can't win." She figured out, everybody scores the same amount and everybody goes away happy. I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but there's this sort of sense that everything has to be equal and the same. Well, folks, not everything's the same, right? Life is not fair. It doesn't, it's not the Lord's way. Now, we can be equally charitable and do things like that, but I think that's a good point. Any other things? Yes, Arnold.
Not having parental guidance. They're left to navigate life without any parental.
Did you guys hear Arnold? So it's an epidemic now with absentee parents. Now, in some cases, it's because they're working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. In other cases, it's because of divorce or incarceration or other circumstances. So just not having parents in the home, or parents abdicating their own responsibilities and thinking it's up to teachers and guidance counselors or church leaders to raise their kids, or the TV. That's right. I mean, that's a good one too. Just the media feeds in. Kids today, I think they go from their DSs to their iPods, then to the computer, Facebook. Don't knock it though, because I'm on there all the time. Remember, don't contact me on Facebook for the campaign, please. Not tonight. But media. And what's the problem with media? Media can be, like many things, a wonderful tool to dispense information. Unfortunately, so much of the time, it's used just as something, as a tool to drag down and dull the minds of children. So I'm getting the signal that my time is rapidly coming to us. Let me throw out a couple more things, and then I'll try to wrap up. Sexual promiscuity and the dangers there. Violence. If any of you have seen any of the video games out there, things like cyberbullying, because a lot of these other things, drugs and stuff, have been around for many generations. But there are new and unique ways to terrorize your classmates, right? Things in cyberbullying. Everything is viral now. So you make one mistake and bam, NFL athletes clearly understand that. It's up. Michael Phelps knows the repercussions. And sadly, sometimes it's not even stuff you've done. I can Photoshop you into a situation that's compromising and embarrass you and cause you to become a pariah at school. This is a dynamic that I call getting older, younger. So the younger they are, the older they want to be, and our society feeds into that. Interestingly, for parents, sometimes they're trying to get younger, older, and we can talk about that later on. But so clearly there are a number of threats assailing our youth, and we need to combat them by teaching them good principles, occupying their time with productive and positive activities, and then teaching them to focus on others through service. How do I know this? Well, I have neighbors who are yearning for opportunities to teach their kids these types of principles, hard work. It's funny that they'll spend $5,000 to send their kids to a labor camp, a farm, off somewhere, just to give them some experience, because there's so few of those opportunities for children today. And they're just saying, I want them to get a feeling for what I had to do growing up, and it's not happening. I had this question come up when I talked to a couple people about this program. Why have another program? I mean, we've already got so many youth programs. I want to reiterate that I don't think this is a threat. This is not a replacement for those programs, but a complement for those programs. Think about it this way. Do you think those that are purveying, those that are pushing pornography, are they trying to limit the amount of choices as far as pornography, a $10 to $14 billion industry in the United States alone? Clearly, they're not worried about limiting choices for things on the other side, I would call it the dark side, or drug pushers. Are they trying to limit the number of drugs that are available to our youth and our children? Absolutely not. So why, on our side, on the good side, the side of light that Uncle Jimmy referenced, would we care about trying to limit the number of youth programs? So we should, I think, go out and as you learn more about the details of this program, tell your neighbors, hey, don't quit Boy Scouts. But if you're not getting all that you feel like you're getting, or your kids are getting from Boy Scouts, here's another opportunity, another option, chocolate flavored or avocado. This program will build character. There's a saying that reputation is what men think of you. Character is what God knows of you. And there's a difference, right? And this is a program to build character. The inner scorecard, the inner path towards the tree of peace. Warren Buffett calls it an inner scorecard. He talks about that more in business principles and having an investment philosophy, but it's also applicable to moral guidance and moral principles. So this program, I think, is one that we need. It's a program that I'm excited to introduce to you. And then here in conclusion, because it's hard. With being a lawyer and a politician together, it's hard to just get me to totally shut up. So I've skipped over a number of notes. My second to last point, another emphasis that this has that I don't think the Boy Scouts and 4-H and some of those have as much anymore, and maybe they did at some time, is an emphasis on civics, government, learning about the Constitution. I have a quiz here. It's the naturalization test. I've given it to some of my friends. This is the one that they give new people trying to apply to be citizens, and most of them fail miserably. I mean, and if you want to take this afterwards, I would recommend that you do. I'll give you one question and see how many of you can answer that. It's a pretty simple question about the Constitution. How many amendments to the Constitution? Any of you? Okay, how many of you knew that? 27. See? Okay, so that eliminates. The rest of you can go now. I'm just kidding. But I bet if I went through 10 questions, there may be only one or two of you who'd get all 10 of them right. But good on you guys for having that ready. I love doing this. I've given this in church talks and embarrassed all sorts of people. But here is the conclusion. And I take this from Mother Teresa. It's a saying she had on her wall in Calcutta. And not a saying, but a number of sayings that inspired her. And it's always been a great guidepost for me. I want to share it with you. Some of you have heard it. Indulge me if you have. It goes like this. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. Because I think this encapsulates so much the Wisdom, Wellness, and Wealth program and the need for our youth to learn these principles at a young age. The great prophet once said, learn wisdom in thy youth. So the next says, if you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Some of you have experienced that. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten, but do good anyway. Give the best you have and it will never be enough. Still, give your best anyway. I added this in for our group. Build a youth program and people will tell you there are enough of them already. Build anyway. Because in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. How come I have a tall son? I don't know. I got to go back down to my size. I'm going to make a disclaimer. The views expressed by the preceding speaker are those entirely of his own and do not necessarily reflect the attitude of the station nor the management thereof. Thank you very much. Anyway, I thank you for coming here and giving us the keynote speech. But I'm just going to go right now into the Golden Eaglets. And so that you know what it is, The Golden Eaglets is a program where boys and girls from ages 7 to 17 are trained to be future leaders. I don't see any youth program that does that. And it's a different kind of leadership. It's a servant leadership. So they'll be future leaders of their communities, organizations, or even their government. The emphasis of their training will be in developing leadership skills and strengthening their commitment to excellence in whatever they do. And most of all, the dedication to the highest level of honesty and integrity. There will also be an equal emphasis on the spiritual foundation, the joy of giving and compassionate service. Can you imagine if we start that when they're 7 years old? The Golden Eaglets will be provided with free lessons in the fields of fine arts, music, drama, physical fitness, sports, technology, and other disciplines that will help them develop mentally, physically, and spiritually, as well as build a strong character, courage, confidence, and a positive attitude. Another special focus will be to teach them the true history of our country. In order to change the world we live in, where the truth is fast becoming extinct, where graft and corruption is rampant in almost all governments, we must start training the youth to be great leaders of tomorrow, where they are anchored in the righteousness and spirituality. Okay? Well, when they're built on a solid and sure foundation, you know what I mean by sure foundation. You think the sure foundation that I'm talking about is being taught in any youth other stuff? Okay, some of that. But it's not going to be the way we do. We want to create an atmosphere that is a fertile ground for them to blossom forth as leaders of tomorrow. Anyway, that is basically what it is. And now I would like to mention the names of those, and we're still looking for. We're forming an advisory council, the Golden Eaglets Advisory Council, for the state of Utah. This is very historic, ladies and gentlemen, because today here, the cornerstone is being laid for an incredible association of group of youth that will spread all over the world. We already have people from different countries wanting us to get there and start it immediately. So right now what we're doing is forming a Golden Eagle Advisory Council, where we're going to get the leader and the director of that. And Monday we started this, and on Thursday, so far, these are the ones. The temporary coordinator is Gloria J. Perry. Will you please stand up? Let's give your hand. Joseph Pimentel. Is Joseph Pimentel here? Is he here? All right, he's there waving. Okay, what I'll do to get it going, because my son took a lot of time, I got to go catch up now. We'll be right back up this message. No, I'm only kidding. Anyway, I will just call the names and let's give them a hand at the end. Michael Olson, Judy Porter, Marvin Olson, Marlene Harper. Will you please stand up? All the peoples I call, just stand up, okay? Marlene Harper, Vicky Barker, Heidi Lewis, Craig Lewis. I found him in the Craigslist. Anyway, Reg McDaniel, Joanne Felix, that's Reg, by the way, Reg McDaniel, Roy Gerber, Charles Childress, I see him, Charles, you here? Jonathan Rochier, he's here, stand up please. Terrence Norton, Charles Gilmore, stand up, and Thea Gilmore. Let's all give them a big hand, ladies and gentlemen, so far. This is how the age group will be divided. 7 to 10 years old, we call them the Bronze Eaglets. They were going to go and make a decision of what the real column. 11 to 14 years old, Silver Eaglets, and 15 to 17 years old, Golden Eaglets. Now, I'd like to get our president, our CFO, and to come over here first, join me, and just come over here. I am going to, on behalf of all our officers, and not all here, I'd like to do the declaration and dedication of the Golden Eagle Society International. On this, the 29th day of April, in the year of our Lord 2011, we, the officers and members of the Glowing Heart Society, hereby declare to the whole world and the universe the birth, the existence, and the mission of this eminent assemblage, heretofore to be known as Golden Eaglet Society International, as an association composed of youth, the youth who will be schooled and nourished in the righteous principles of truth, selflessness, compassionate service, servant leadership, and love, and to be our servant leaders of the future. Now we dedicate this program for the greater glory of God. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
And now it's my privilege to introduce to you a guy who we've talked about already, in light and love, and having to be in order to bring something about, or in order to have anything. He has a being of service and a servant leader already. We're speaking of Kyle Reyes. He's worked at the UVU, you know, as Utah Valley University now. It's had some name changes. And he has been there for the past 8 years in the development of programs and services that create higher education opportunities for what are called the underrepresented communities, such as low income, first generation, multicultural, and so forth. And Kyle has been working that for over many years. He has been given the Award of Excellence from UVU, and this one I enjoy, the Adjunct Faculty of the Year Award. This is an award given by students. The students have elected him that, Adjunct Faculty of the Year. And we're speaking, of course, of the youth, about this whole Eaglets. He's also been awarded the UVU Community Engagement Award for his leadership of the UVU Latino Initiative. After a brief stint as Director for Student Success and Retention, Kyle was appointed by the new UVU President Matthew to be his special assistant. He received his bachelor degree and in graphic design, his master's degree in education leadership from Brigham Young University. Kyle is working to finish his PhD this year in education leadership and policy from UVU. He focuses on leadership for equity and the construction of campuses which include the unrepresented community. Kyle draws on his interactions with and presentations to over 20,000 students, educators, and parents over the past 8 years. He has a beautiful wife and 4 very active children. Glowing Heart Society, please welcome Kyle Reyes.
If it seems like you're seeing double up here, having seen my brother up not too long ago, he's my elder by 7 years and my idol. I've always looked up to my brother. And so it's somewhat intimidating to not only follow him, but to be here and to be with you people that have taken the time out of your busy schedules to come and and to listen and see if I'm also a bit nervous, see if I can share a few words about why I believe education is so important in general, but really why education really is the path to light overall. A few just minor corrections that was read. I work with President Matthew Holland. I'm not sure if many of you who are familiar with Utah Valley University, but 2 years ago, President Holland was appointed to be the president, and I work closely with him. And I'm pursuing my graduate work up at the University of Utah, and we'll be finishing that shortly. I do want to start with a few education statistics in the state of Utah, and this is more of just a kind of for your information and a did you know. Many people, education has been a hot topic within our political arena, public education and higher education. There are 8 public institutions of higher education in the state of Utah, 3 private. We have about 10 years ago, we were 10th in the nation in the number of percentage of our adults having bachelor's degrees. As a state, we're now 24th in the nation. We were 27th in the nation in terms of our percentage of high school graduates that immediately went to college. We're now 48th. You all understand that per pupil expenditure, what that means is for every student that we have, the number of tax dollars that go to our students and youth is the lowest in the entire nation. Part of that has to do with our birth rate in the state, and part of that has to do with our fiscal responsibility. So again, I share some of those things to say education is on the minds of every one of us. You all have children or youth around you that I'm sure you encourage to get an education. Whether they're in public education or private education or charter school, I'm sure that those that are in here are encouraging the youth to reap the benefits of education. Many of you have had opportunities for education, and some of you might not have had the opportunities. Some of you might have started college and not finished. Others might have gone straight to the workforce. What I'd like to just share is 2 things. I'd like to share a story of something that we've been working on at Utah Valley University, but as it relates to this program. And what I'd like to leave with primarily is that you would start to think about education and your own role with the youth as being bridge builders. That as you go forth in our community, as you work with youth, as you interact with other people, you realize that you have a tremendous responsibility to be a bridge builder for others to new knowledge. I'm going to bridge build for you for just a moment one example that we have at Utah Valley University, and then I'll finish off with, again, generally why I think it's so important that everyone in this room become bridge builders of hope, bridge builders of education. I grew up, as you know, has been mentioned, in San Fernando in Canoga Park. What my brother might not know and what my father might not know, but probably will know now that I will share this in the past. I grew up at Canoga Park High School. I was class of 1996. So from 92 to 96, we had 550 freshmen my freshman year at Canoga Park High School. 550 freshmen. By the time I was a senior, we graduated 220. My class of 96, we had 65% Hispanic, Latino, Chicano. We had 7% Caucasian, white. We had a mixture of Vietnamese, Filipino, African American. But you think about that, 550 freshmen, 220 graduated with me. Now there's a bunch that might have transferred to other high schools, and they could have graduated from another high school, but I venture to say that many of those students at Canoga Park High School dropped out. Of the 220 that graduated with me, those that were at my 10-year high school reunion, we figured that about 80 of us went on to higher education. There's a Pierce College right near our house. Cal State Northridge is in our backyard as well. And then, of course, the UC system. About 10 of us left the state. I came to Utah. Most went to Pierce College, a local community college, a junior college. And we figured that out of those 220 that graduated from class of 96 in Canoga Park High School, only about 50 of us got past the first year of higher education. And only about 30 of us have received bachelor's degrees. I share that because this problem is sweeping our entire nation in terms of the percentage of our youth, and especially in large areas and in urban areas, and frankly in Utah County, this is growing, is that our youth are not finishing school. And part of that is our youth, by not finishing school, they're losing out on opportunities, they're losing out on light. One of the things that I was involved in high school is I was, and again, my brother might be reading about this more in the paper than he is, than we talked about this, but I was a graffiti artist. And anybody in here did graffiti art in high school? Any of their fellow taggers, writers? I have 2 of my graffiti pieces in my office. When you're with a tagging crew, you don't actually call it graffiti, or you call it graph art. And you basically say, I write. I write, and when I write sketch. Sketch was the name I used when I tagged. I didn't actually write my name, Kyle. That would be a dead giveaway to people who didn't think that that was art. And because of an experience in the 10th grade at Canoga Park, I was tagging a girl's name, not paying attention to the teacher. That part I know my brother does believe. I wasn't paying attention to the teacher, and I was just, writing this girl's name. And the teacher came up and saw it, and basically I was waiting for her to say, give me your sketchbook. Instead she said, why don't you take an AP Studio Art class? Now here's what she did. She built a bridge for me that no one else at that time had. Now I would say that my father was very supportive of my artistic abilities, but everybody else in terms of the schooling process said that my graffiti art was, what? Vandalism. It was trash, and you're wasting time. This one teacher, combined with my father's relentless efforts to tell us that we were talented, I took this AP Studio Art class my junior year, and my mind was blown open to graphite, watercolor, sculpture, and a number of other artistic mediums. I share that because that changed my entire course. I attended a summer program up here at Brigham Young University. I then received both a multicultural scholarship and an art scholarship because BYU had never seen a graffiti art portfolio before. Go figure. And I had a tough time adjusting a little bit in terms of my graffiti, kind of the things that I was involved in, and then coming to BYU and essentially lost my scholarships. But I did get a bachelor's degree in graphic design, and I worked in the Multicultural Center there. And one of the best experiences I had was performing with a multicultural dance group where we traveled to various places. One of the places we traveled to was the Navajo Reservation. I learned the Native American hoop dance, and I performed that Native American hoop dance on the Navajo Nation reservation. And as I did so, there was an albino Navajo girl. Red eyes, extremely white complexion, and very platinum hair, came up afterwards and didn't say any words to me. I had just completed creating the globe on top. If you've ever seen the Native American hoop dance, any of you, create the globe on top, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and you're supposed to put one into the other. When I created these globes, this girl just walked up and she just picked up one of the globes. Everybody had clapped, the show was over, and I just watched her, and she just looked at the globe and she just kind of held it. I then asked her name. She didn't say anything to me. I then took apart the hoops and I showed her how to interlock the hoops to form a small eagle. And you do so by just having 3 hoops, and if my kids were here, they'd show you how to do it. You interlock 3 hoops, and then if you want to have a longer eagle, you just grab 2 more hoops, and you have 5 hoops across. And in about 5 minutes, I showed this little girl a secret on this very complex dance. Because when you first see it, you're like, dang, that thing is complex. It's kind of confusing. But once you learn the techniques of it, it's remarkable how quickly you can learn the rest of the dance. You see, the secret at that time for me was to teach this young girl that this big complex dance was actually quite simple. And once I was able to hopefully build a bridge for her with this new knowledge, you should have seen her face. She still didn't say anything to me. She just smiled, dropped the hoops, and then walked away. Because of that one experience, I decided to go into a career in education. And I asked my fiance at the time, my wife now, I said, I'm going to switch from graphic design to education. I'm not going to make very much money. She said, I just want you to do what you love doing. I started working at UVSC at the time, and we started a program called Hidden Voices. Hidden Voices basically took 8 to 10 graffiti artists from Utah County, Orem and Provo. We worked with 18 at first. We had them at the Woodbury Museum of Art over in the University Mall. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the University Mall area or in Orem, but there's a Woodbury Museum of Art that Utah Valley University owns. We housed them in there and we said, we want to display your graffiti art on our walls of our museum. And the students were like, no, for real, what do you want to do with this? They had their backpacks, they had their markers, their spray cans. And I said, we got pizza here, you guys. And I said, all right, my name is Kyle. I write sketch. And some of them are like, okay, all right. And so they get up, my name is Jose, I write Venom. I've been writing for 4 years. Sit back down, I'm from Chicago, I'm from Los Angeles. We started bonding around the room. And by the end of it, we told these 18 artists, look, I've already spoken to 4 of your judges in this area. If you get 30 college credits at Utah Valley University, your record will be wiped clean. And these artists are like, oh, all right. After 18, it went to 14, went to 12. It ended up being 8 that participated in the Hidden Voices project. On January 28th of this year, we had an opening of 540 people over at the Woodbury Museum of Art, and these 8 artists were dressed up in ties, suits, showing their artwork, the graffiti art that they had produced. They received scholarships, and all 8 of them are enrolled at UVU to start this fall. Some people might not think that working with just 8 graffiti artists is a huge deal. They say, well, we've got thousands of students across the state of Utah that need that type of attention, that need that type of, they need a scholarship, and I say that's true. But what we did was we turned these 8 artists who had a script in their mind that they were vandals, they were bad people, and what we did is we tried to provide them an opportunity, an educational opportunity and an opportunity for light. These 8 artists have since bonded as a cohort. They've bonded together, they're doing peer mentoring together, and they're working together. When I heard about the Golden Eaglets program, my mind went to 2 things. My mind went to that little girl on the Navajo Nation who formed her little eagle wings first. And then we were able to bring on the bigger wings, the bigger circles, the hoops for her to spread her wings even farther. And then my mind went to the Hidden Voices project, because these 8 artists are magnificent artists. They're not vandals and they're not bad people. And if they get these 30 college credits and they have a clean slate, they truly are the authors of their own future. And to me, how education matches the light and the responsibility we have, and this is in closing, I think we have a tremendous responsibility to be bridge builders of light, to be those who say to others, you know what, you've got a tremendous future. I don't care what you love to do. There's something out there for you some way for you to contribute. And if you think about it, bridges are built between 2 land masses usually. If the land was connected, you don't need a bridge, you just walk across the land. So usually you need a bridge between 2 independent land masses. For most of our youth, this is them and this is new knowledge, new experiences, or opportunities, or light. And what's exciting for me as an educator and as a parent of 4, and as a person being involved with programs like this, is that I have the opportunity and the skill set and now the tools to be able to slowly help bridge these 2 land masses. In the process, I'm also learning. I'm also building bridges for my own children and myself to learn from these artists and learn from these youth. I would encourage everyone in this room, if you haven't finished your degree, come talk to me and we'll get you done at UVU or any other higher education institution. If you have somebody that you're concerned about, that you'd like to have more education, again, come talk to me about that. But more importantly, I would hope that everybody in this room took the responsibility and found within themselves, when I leave tonight, I'm going to try to do a little bit more in bridge building. The youth that are around me, the people that are around me, and especially my family, I want to make sure that there's no door of opportunity that's closed to them, because I want them to have the best. I would hope that you would think that you would recognize this Golden Eaglets program as one of those opportunities. I would hope you'd open that door, and I'd hope you helped others to walk through that door as well. Thank you so much.
At this time, I'd like to call on one of our leaders in Los Angeles. Actually, she's from Beverly Hills, and she actually created the song for this celebration. And he is our another Associate Vice President. And let's welcome Cindy.
Hi, good evening. I am honored to be able to do this, to share this music with you. But I have to correct you, because this is a song that Beth Nielsen Chapman wrote. And I did actually write a song, but I wasn't completely satisfied with it. And I found this because it's full of light and it's about shining. And so that's what this is. It's called Shine All Your Light. Here under heaven's eyes, down under paradise, sometimes it seems like we're so small. Here on the shores that reach beyond infinity, how could we matter much at all? Would it be enough if each of us could give our love like sand on a mountain, rain on a fountain, shade on a shadow, a breeze in this tornado? Just do what you can. Clap with one hand and shine all your light to the sun. We live to learn to love. Oh, mercy from above. Amazing grace like rain comes falling down. We sing our hearts to you, our song of gratitude, the voice of every child. How sweet the sound. We can only trust. All our prayers will all add up like sand on a mountain, rain on a fountain, shade on a shadow, a breeze in this tornado. Just do what you can. Clap with one hand, shine all your light in the sun. Just shine. Just shine. Just shine. Just do what you can for all our land. Just Thank you very much.
We are actually about to end this session. I just want to remind everybody to be so prompt and punctual tomorrow. We have a whole day and so many things to cover for you, members of the Glowing Heart Society. By the way, I just want to emphasize that tomorrow's event is only for members. So if you want to be there tomorrow, well, you can contact Sue or anybody else and join tonight. Join us tonight. All right, well, we're going to have the end part of our program, which is going to be Let's Light Up the World. Your glowing heart should glow ever so bright. You know, a Chinese proverb teaches, stop complaining when there's a problem, take action and do something about it. And it says, don't curse the darkness, light a candle. Eleanor Roosevelt took that upon herself when she said, rather than cursing the dark, it is better to light one candle. Now, our society is filled with darkness, darkness of ignorance, darkness of poverty, and darkness of greed. Let us wipe them out with the light from our glowing heart. Let us light up the world with our deeds and the power of the light of love. And you know, instead of just lighting one candle, we are dedicated to lighting millions of candles. And so, I'd like to ask everybody from the front people, come up here in front and face the audience and show your light to them and your love. Come on, over here.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Everybody join in. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Golden Heart Society, Golden Heart Society, we're gonna let it shine. Golden Heart, Glowing Heart Society, we're gonna let it shine. Glowing Heart Society, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. All over this world, all over this world, we're gonna let it shine. All over this world, we're gonna let it shine. Everybody, all over this world, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yay!
Most Holy Father in heaven, we come humbly before Thee, acknowledging where our light comes from. O Father of lights, we pray humbly to be children of light, truly children of light, and share that light with others in the love that we share as the love You give us. We are overwhelmed by that love and want to share it with others and give it out in such strength, so that, as our Lord Jesus Christ said, to let our light so shine before men that they glorify Thy holy name and give Thee praise. And we in Glowing Heart Society know He asks us to let our light shine on top of the table or as a city on top of a hill, so that men may see the good works that we do and not hide the works that we do, but that people may see our light and praise Thee, Holy Father, which means that we need to proclaim to others that the reason we have such light and love is because of the light, Father, that You give us and the love that You give us. We thank Thee, deeply thank Thee, and ask Thy help in our sharing of that love of yours with others and increasing their light. And this we humbly pray in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.